Hello dear friends, and welcome back to the Spiritist Moment, and I am Kirsten DeMello. Today our reflections will be from the book Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 14. I recommend that you go read and study this chapter and all the chapters of this book and all the codification of Allan Kardec. This chapter will pull at your heartstrings as you reflect with Kardec and the Spirit St. Augustine. Now, let's think about this. We know that this chapter reflects about parenthood, the trials and tribulations that one endures. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, I'm not a parent, Kirsten, so I don't really relate much to this chapter. Well, I tell you, my friends, if you're not a parent in this life, perhaps you were in a previous one, and perhaps it's a preparation for the incarnation to come, because we know through the books of Andrea Luiz that are psychographed by the Brazilian Spiritist medium Francisco Cândido Xavier. We know that a lot of the times when we are planning our next life, our next reincarnation, already in the current one that we have today. So dear friends, no knowledge is a waste of time. So let's reflect. This chapter is broken into 4 separate parts. The first 3 parts, Kardec brings explanations from the Bible, particularly from Mark and Luke, the Decalogue, and Exodus. Particularly a phrase that most of us have heard Jesus say, honor thy father and thy mother. The first part is entitled filial devotion. What does that mean? Basically the devotion that a child has for their parent. And what does this mean? Well, Kardec explains what Jesus' text in the Bible, further elaborating what his words mean. He says, not only should we honor our parents, perhaps, let's say, our parents might not have been good to us in this life. Perhaps they were abusive in nature. But even still, dear friends, as we reflect with Kardec, they deserve our respect and our thanks because they gave us life. And filial devotion also towards those parents, because why? Because when we were young children, babies, they gave up their time for us. And for words Kardec proposes we have beyond these words, honor thy father and thy mother. Kardec says respect, consideration, submission, and acquiescence. What does this mean for us? It's a call to responsibility as children, how we should treat our parents. It is sort of a compass for us, how to navigate through our lives, a handbook, if you will, how we should be treating our parents. How many of us truly respect our parents, even especially in their old age? We have a culture, perhaps here in the United States, and sometimes we are accustomed to when our parents reach a certain age, when they get old, we like to send them off to assisted living facilities. Nothing against people that have to do this. Or nursing homes. Again, no judgments here, friends. Just sharing with you some of the cultural aspects of what we do here in the U.S. But let's say and reflect with Kardec, that Kardec teaches with us respect and honoring your parents and remembering them in their old age. Why? Because they did not forget about us in our young age, of all the selflessness they gave for us when we needed them. And now in their old age, we put them into homes, we forget about them. Where is the respect in that? Where is the honor in that? Where is the honor in that? Where is the consideration in that? Consideration why? All the times, the money, the efforts our parents went into raising us, when they perhaps could have been doing something else. And one other thing for us to consider. How many spirits on the other side would love to have the problems we have here today? Yes, would love to have our problems, when we ourselves don't want our problems. We do everything and anything to escape from our problems, to not deal with our problems, to find a way to just leave a situation because we don't want to deal with our problems. But how sorry we will be later when we go back to the other side and realize in our awakening and we should have taken advantage. So we should thank our parents for, even if they were not good to us, they at least gave us life. What does that mean? An opportunity for us as immortal souls who have huge debts to pay still. It's like we're standing in line at the credit card company waiting to pay back our debt. This is what it's like on the other side for these spirits who want to come back. They're waiting in line at the credit card companies, dying to pay back what they owe. And here we are, complaining about all the problems we have, crying, not wanting our problems, and there's spirits there waiting, crying to have our problems. Let's think about that a little bit when we think about how much we are complaining in our lives. The second part of this chapter, when it's talking about who is my mother and who are my brothers, and Kardec reflects upon a particular passage when Jesus was at the synagogue and was preaching. And Mark and Luke bring in the Bible different accounts, similar accounts, I should say, of what happened during that time. So let's revisit this. What happened? Jesus was giving a talk at the synagogue, and his brothers and mothers were outside, and then someone came to Jesus and said, Jesus, your mother's outside, your brothers are outside. And Jesus, being so wise, took this opportunity to teach us something. And Jesus responds, who is my mother and who are my brothers? I'm sure at that time, or even now as we reflect, we think, well, did Jesus not like his mother? Did he disrespect his family? No, because Jesus would never contradict himself. And Kardec brings a beautiful explanation about this. Kardec says, no. Jesus was so wise that he took every opportunity to teach us something, for us to reflect. Who are my brothers and sisters? Who is my mother? Because there at that time, his true brothers and sisters and mothers were there with him at the synagogue, giving him support, were his disciples. They were his true spiritual brothers and sisters. Because indeed, we know, if we read in Mark and Luke in the Bible, they give an account stating that Jesus' brothers didn't really believe in him. They didn't understand him. But we dare not say that about our dear, beloved Mary, because although she didn't fully understand her son, she still loved him dearly. As he died there on the cross, she was there. She was there watching her son die, always giving him support, even though she didn't quite understand at that time his mission in life, as Kardec and we reflect with you as well, which leads us into the third part of this chapter. Spiritual kinship, bodily kinship, was talking about this very thing, blood ties and spiritual ties. There's a difference, because oftentimes we can think, perhaps maybe a brother and sister of yours, you don't feel much affinity with, you don't feel that close to, yet you have a friend at work, perhaps a friend since your infancy, since your childhood, who you always say, oh, you're more like a brother to me than my own brother. Why is that? We wonder. A lot of people who are not Spiritists say this, oh, I feel like this person's more like my brother than my own real brother, blood brother. Why is that? Because of spiritual ties that exist long before the body dies and way before we incarnate in this life. So Kardec shares with us this type of kinship that happens, and we should cultivate this. Even in the material brothers and sisters that we have in our family, if we don't yet feel this kinship, we have this great opportunity, because oftentimes our families are those who we have great debts with. Sometimes they also are those who we have great affinity with. We notice that certain families, brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers, have great bond, and others do not. Even within the Spiritist movement, we notice this. And it's something to reflect on. It's something for us to work on, knowing that in the grand scheme of things, we are all brothers and sisters. In this large continuum of time, we are immortal souls in progression, constantly in this motion of progression. One of the most beautiful parts of this chapter, as all parts are beautiful, Kardec first brings with us, the teaching, the core knowledge, straight to the point. No ambiguity whatsoever. And then St. Augustine comes with the healing remedy, sharing with us that some of the most difficult hardships in our lives are those of the heart. Because we don't have problems if we, are trying to solve a difficult geometry problem in our lives. No, nobody cries over not being able to solve a simple math problem. No, but we cry over the relationship issues we have. And these are the things that we must work on in our lives, and not look at life, as St. Augustine reflects in the end of this chapter, not look at life in just one life, but broaden our perspective and look at the immortality of the soul, that we are constantly needing to better ourselves. Look at every opportunity where we need to dry our tears as an opportunity of growth. And they say that when you are at a point in your life where you have a very difficult hardship, very difficult task to endure, and you're not complaining, it's because your trials are coming to an end. And there's an expression in Portuguese that I'm going to translate to English, paraphrasing, that the most difficult point in a woman's labor when she's giving birth is right towards the end, when the head of the baby is coming out and the baby is just about to fully come out. It's when the greatest pain a woman can feel if she doesn't get her epidural is right there, right before the baby comes out. It's when the greatest pain is felt. And then, whew, there's the baby, and then there's great joy. It's analogous to our problems in our lives. When we come to the most difficult ones and we feel like we can't bear it anymore, that's when our trials and tribulations are coming to an end. So be patient, have moral courage, and that is what St. Augustine proposes for us. And we here at the Spiritist Moment propose for you. Have moral courage to endure your trials and tribulations, because you know that is it a refinement, a sublimation of you, the immortal spirit. So dear friends, these are the thoughts we leave you with today. We urge you to go and read, go and study this chapter and the whole book. And we wish you many blessings, and maintain this thought of moral courage always. Many blessings, dear friends.